Why'd I even come?
Damn it. Oh. Hey, guys. Welcome back to The Struggle. The Struggle with Candice Thompson. I'm Candice Thompson. To my loyal listeners, thank you for coming back time and time again. To my new listeners, welcome. I hope I don't disappoint. The Struggle is a podcast where I have my friends come on and we talk about the challenges of adult life, and it sucks most of the time. If you're doing it right, you're probably being challenged by something on a daily basis. So hopefully this podcast will make you laugh about it and you can relate to it. If you have not subscribed to The Struggle, make sure you do that. We're on all podcast platforms and on YouTube if you haven't subscribed there, if you want to watch the videos. And if you haven't rated and reviewed us on iTunes, make sure you do that. It really makes a difference. And last but not least, if you have not told somebody about The Struggle and you're listening to this regularly, shame on you. Pay it forward. Thank you. Now, you can find me on social media, Jokes by Candice, and then on CandiceThompsonComedy.com for all my shows. And now I'm going to introduce my amazing, hilarious, multi-talented friend, Amanda Seals. Amanda Seals.
Mans and Cans.
And that was the show. Thanks for listening.
It's been real.
Amanda, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, you're all over social media, but in case people don't know, where can people find you?
At Amanda Seals. That's SEALES. And everything is Amanda Seals.
Everything.
Instagram.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Because you did it right. When people come in here and they have like 7 different, they're like, my Twitter is this, my Instagram is this.
I'm like,
you can find me on blackpeoplemeet.com, Black Planet.
I'm on the neighborhood app.
You can find me on Yelp. Like, what are you doing?
When are you actually working? Because like social media is an actual job at this point.
It's a whole. I mean, I complain because I'm not, and I am not on there nearly as much as you.
I shouldn't be on there nearly as much as I am.
That's the. I mean, people expect that of you now. Like there's
Yes.
a whole thing where that's
yes.
you are.
I'm a thing now on social media.
A social media
planned
presence.
I never planned.
But that's what happens when you.
I don't have the personality to be a personality.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You are highly entertaining.
Ugh, okay, entertaining.
You are our whole personality. That is what you are.
But personality, the people, I feel like so many people, like when they think of a personality, they think of somebody who's like bubbly and just like
fake.
Yeah, there it is. I talk about that in my book, Small Doses, Potent Truths for Everyday
Yes.
Use. Now available in stores where books are sold. I have to say that because people ask me.
People are like, where you get books at?
Where do I get your book? I'm like, at a bookstore?
It's also on Amazon, right?
Yes. They also sell. That's how they started.
That's how they started. They also actually have physical. Have you ever seen the physical Amazon bookstores now? They have physical bookstores.
I thought you were about to say there are physical bookstores.
There are physical bookstores too. You have to tell people because they're not. They're
What do you
tangible? They're not. Books are not even tangible anymore. It's just everything is.
But then I purposely made the book be the kind of book that you have to buy the book.
Yeah. Buy the book. You didn't even intend for that to come out like that, did you? Buy the book.
I didn't.
You didn't.
You should buy the book, though.
But you should buy the book.
But like, I didn't do the book, buy the book, because I wanted you all to buy the book.
To buy the book. There it is.
Crazy. Crazy.
So wait, so your book is based off, and I apologize, because you sent me a copy of it, and I'm supposed to read it, and I'm a terrible friend.
Trash.
I'm a trash.
Wait, I need to also point out, I didn't just send her a copy of it. I sent my friends a copy of it like, I'm worried that this is trash. Can some of you all read this and let me know it's not? None of them did.
First of all, it is for sure. Like I'm like, I have to read this, but but also know that, Amanda, nothing that you're going to put out there is trash. So know that. Well, you have a gauge for yourself, and in being a perfectionist, because I've known you for a while now, that you're not going to put out a trash product.
But you know what? I appreciate that wholeheartedly. But I think there's also sometimes like, maybe not trash in the sense like low quality, but trash in the sense of like, off target or like self-involved or myopic. Like I never want to, you know what I mean? Like I never want to get too comfortable. So what happens is like, and I've learned this year, it's like we start to talk about people who like are out of touch, right? That becomes a thing. Like, you know,
sure.
Oh, they're out of touch.
Kanye.
They're out of touch.
For example.
Yes. But sometimes out of touch is people who are kind of just like working with their head down, you know, or who really just aren't in the mix of like the everyday things that people are dealing with. And sometimes it affects their product. And I have absolutely been somebody who's been like, oh, these people, like, they don't know what's really going on. They're not out of touch. They're not in touch with the people. They don't have their finger on the pulse anymore. And I've shaded people like that.
Right.
But now I understand how that happens, because sometimes that's just out of sheer, like, you end up having to like isolate yourself to protect your sanity.
Right.
Like you get to a certain point of like busyness in your business that like you don't even have time to kind of see what else is going on with other people.
It's not intentional. It's just a byproduct of your lifestyle or what you're working on. You're busy. You don't have necessarily time to be abreast of everything that's going on because you've just been in like a bubble of I need to get this done.
So it's like, you know, I don't ever want to write something that feels like I was in jail for 6 years and got out and was like, this FUBU shit is crazy, right? And it's like, we off that. I got me a fly iceberg sweater. And it's like
does she know?
Right. Tony got me 2 sweaters.
Now, let me ask you a question. Because you did send the book out to your friends and said, can you read this? Would it have been, what if one of us had come to you and been like, this is problematic?
Then I would have been able to.
You would have had time to fix? Okay.
I wouldn't have even had time to fix the text, but I would have at least had time to fix, or not even fix, not the word, but to address my reasoning for that, so that I can address it if I feel like it needs to be addressed, or that if it is addressed to me, that I can like be prepared.
Right.
Because the thing is perspective. So like when I wrote the book, the first draft of the book is just like, I'm writing.
I remember you went away. Didn't you go to somebody's house?
I went to my aunt's house in Arizona. I went to my mama's house in Orlando. It's where I didn't go. And then I went to Grenada and I was editing it while I was in Grenada, and my uncle was a judge. And I tell this story all the time because if you're writing a book, I give this advice to you. He was like, remember, a book is a deposition. So edit it and edit it twice. And if you know what a deposition is, like, it's a record.
Yes.
Of what you experienced and what you said, but it's a legally binding account.
For sure.
And so I had to go back. And when I read it, when I was editing it as a judge, when I was editing it as a deposition, I was like, ooh, child. Because I was kind of taking liberties. Like I was writing things assuming that people knew what I meant.
Yeah.
You know, or like just being real comfortable. Like I'm in just present company.
Right, with friends and right.
Which brings us to what my struggle is later.
Okay. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. Well, really quickly before we move on from the book, I just wanted to, if you're not familiar with Amanda's podcast, Small Doses, it is amazing.
Candice was on Side Effects of a Narcissist, which, by the way, there's like a thing on the internet right now, like about saying that I'm a narcissist.
Of course.
These two bum niggas did a video.
Ooh.
Some niggas did a YouTube video about like Amanda Seales is a narcissist. They like took clips from my Breakfast Club interview. Of course, they're completely out of context. They're just cut, you know, and then they like presented this like completely like skewed, reductive view of me as a quote unquote narcissist. I'm like, also, you clearly don't know what a narcissist is, so you should probably listen to
my podcast.
My podcast where I had a guest, Candice Thompson,
expert in narcissism and narcissus.
And it's, you know, you end up in a fucked up scenario because, like, by me even acknowledging that they did this, like, people are now going to go from this podcast. They're going to go look for it and listen to it.
For sure.
You know, so now I've, like, given them clicks. And then, like, I addressed it briefly on my Instagram. And then they, like, took that video and were like, oh, she's still talking about it. And I'm like, you know what? This is my gift to y'all. Oh, this is really me being benevolent.
Seriously.
Because, like, you really think you're doing something. And you
everybody.
Will not matter.
It doesn't matter.
None of what you're saying is of any value.
No.
But I do hate everybody.
I hate everybody. It's going to be my next tattoo. Just deciding where to put it.
I literally got like a little pouch that has a picture of like one of those old like drawings of like a girl kneeling, like a Precious Moments kind of thing. Of a girl kneeling.
Moments.
And then it says, and like she's like kneeling praying on her bed, and it says, may they burn in hell.
You said you bought it?
Yes, I did.
Where did you get it from?
I will send you the link.
Okay, because I'm like, yes, I need this in my life. I'm just going to have a whole precious
And they
moment.
have a whole, like, you can get a
Showcase.
shirt, you can get a mug, you can get a rug. They got a whole notebook, journal.
I have been saying for years that we have too many products that are positive. For example,
I've been saying for years.
For example, you can get a greeting card or like a celebration card, happy birthday, congratulations, a thank you, but you can't get like
Fuck you.
You ain't shit. And we don't have that. Like, if someone
What are you
cheated on
waiting
you,
for?
we need to have like mean cards. I've been wanting to do mean cards.
What are you waiting for?
You're right.
That's something we could start
Don't
today.
let's do it. Don't take our fucking, I should have edit this out, Paul.
Like, I mean, that's like really actually like.
No, I've had that idea since college and I never did it.
Can you pause?
Maybe that's my struggle.
You need to buy that URL today.
Meancards.com.
Yes.
Meancards.biz.
I hate that biz so much. .co.
Sometimes I want to do it just ironically, just because I laugh at it so much. Anyway.
Meancards@yahoo.com.
Yeah, no, I will do that because...
No, because
I need to
honestly,
find
that's a stream
everyone else
of
who's
income.
done it.
That's also like a stream of income. Well, there's been other versions of that, but whatever.
Right.
If you do it better, then
Right. Then it won't matter.
Because there were cards. Remember, like they had it was like they had like old school illustrations, like
regular cards?
No, they were like kind of like
Silly.
mean cards, but they weren't mean as much as they were just like just funny. Like I gotta find some. I have to look for it, but like I'll send them to you.
Please.
Because I bought them for like my peoples, and I'm sure I have some at home.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, no, I want some for the boss that like fired you. You know, you got dumped or cheated on by somebody. We need cards for all of these moments.
you're a shitty friend.
Yeah. We need cards for all these moments. Yeah.
We're back.
And we're back. People don't even know we were gone. And we're back. Thanks for tuning in after this commercial break. I wanted to say, because your book is essentially a spinoff from your podcast. So just to sum up, tell people what the book is and why they should read it, and then we'll get into struggle stuff.
Well, my podcast is basically like self-help from the hip, meaning like it's a real take on things that are going on in our lives. And I do it from my own point of view and with a humorous take, but also a keen sense of common sense.
Yeah.
And so we talk about a bevy of topics on the podcast, and we bring that to the book. And some of the topics in the book are side effects of insecurity, side effects of the hoe phase, side effects.
I never had, by the way.
Oh.
Never had a hoe phase. It's too late now, I think.
I don't think it's
I think
ever
the
too
ship
late.
has sailed.
It still gets wet.
Does it? I don't know.
We don't know. Only one way to find out. Only one way to find out. Side effects of being a creative.
She dropped her phone.
Side effects of dating in the digital world.
That's a real one.
Yes. So we have a number of different side effects. There's 6 different sections in the book, each of them focusing on an overall theme. So one on career, one on womanhood, one on race, one on relationships, one on the glow up, just your self-empowerment, self-love. And the last one is people are weird. Right. So
That's better than saying trash, because that's the way I would have gone, but that is a better way it's a nice euphemism.
thank you. And I just, throughout the course of the book, there's essays, there's stories, there's thoughts, there's lists, there's drawings. But I really wanted to create this, some sort of it's like a resource for just ideologies and philosophies that are ever changing and ever growing, and how we're managing this uncertain life.
Right.
And it can be looked at as like your funny homegirl with common sense, who always has good advice.
Yeah.
That she isn't necessarily taking for herself.
But still.
But it doesn't change its validity.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
You'll be entertained regardless. So
It's really been actually received extremely well. Like, I've been actually really shocked. And today I saw that it's made its way to Brazil.
That's fantastic.
To Italy, to Trinidad and Tobago, London. So
International
Australia.
mans.
Yeah. So it's really
International
dope
mans.
to see that it's like cross waters. And I didn't make the New York Times bestsellers list, but I made the Black Girl bestsellers list.
that's fantastic.
Which is an unofficial, official bestsellers list that I have put on my YouTube. I put it in my profile as if it's like a real thing because it is a real thing. Like all the Black girls bought the book.
That matters.
That matters to me more than anything.
That's fantastic.
So it's on the Black Girls Bestsellers list.
That's fantastic. Now, what's the qualifications like to make the New York Times best-selling?
It changes every week. I mean, it's essentially just like the top 10, the books that sold the most that week in
just
the top 10. So,
okay.
like, if you come out the same week as, like, I don't know, like me, like I came out with like Newt Gingrich or some shit. Like, the 9th book on the list last week, that week, had sold like 32,000 books. You know, now I sold like 6,900 books the first week, which apparently was like incredible.
That's fantastic.
But, you know, I'm like not on a show every day. Like I'm not.
It's also, but not only that, but it's also like you are known for like online stuff like right now. So like, you know, those people that are like online are not, like we're saying, they're not buying physical books.
True.
So for you to have that crossover is fantastic.
It really was like thank you. It really was also just a journey in figuring out things as I go along because I didn't have the support that I would have expected from people who like are making money off of me putting out a book.
Right.
So it ends up being just you kind of like learning like, oh, I didn't know pre-orders mattered. Like, oh, I didn't know that this is how a book tour works. Like, so there just was a lot of like, you know, oh shit, you know, and having to try your best like in the moment. Whereas like I wish that I had just more education prior to. And I know that on one hand, I could have said like, well, then you should have educated yourself. But to be perfectly frank, I didn't know that I didn't know.
That's real. How do you know until someone tells you that was wrong or that you learn on your own?
Like
so it's a process.
So the New York Times bestsellers is it's a thing that goes on forever. So like, let's say like, I don't know, let's say I have a random hangout with Michelle Obama and she says buy Amanda Seales' book. Like I could make the list the next day.
For sure. Or Oprah.
Yes.
Anyone who has that kind of platform, right?
Like I could make the list that week.
Right.
You know, because of the spike.
And it doesn't matter when the book was released. So let's say, for example.
Correct.
Okay. So
no, I could get it 6 years from now. Like I could have I don't know, I could have another Caitlyn Jenner moment. Right.
You will. I feel it coming.
I feel it coming. It's just the nature of the beast.
Last question about the book. Would you write another book after this, having experienced writing this book? Because you said it was a very difficult process.
Really difficult. Yeah.
And every person that I know that's writing a book is like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
I would just have to be one thing I will say is there's nothing anybody could have told me about that process. Like, I mean, people will tell you it's hard, but it's difficult in different ways for everybody. I think for me, it was really mostly difficult for 2 reasons. One, I just didn't have time.
It's like when I can't read, for one.
I can only write in Sanskrit. So that posed a problem. So I just didn't have like time. And then 2, just the choice that I went with in terms of format.
Yeah.
Was a more difficult format. So like the essays were like extremely harder to write than the stories.
For sure.
Because the stories are flowing, they're narrative, they're more just fun and jovial. Whereas the essays, like I am having to have a certain level of academic, like, precision in how it's done. So I can't just I have to be very precise with my thoughts.
It was more technical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that just made it a little bit more cumbersome. But if I would absolutely write other books. I just learned better in terms of, I learned more about how to make the process maybe a little bit more practical and easy for me. Like from like this point forward, like I would block off, like I have to write a book. Like right now I'm trying to write scripts and it's like, how?
Yeah.
How? How?
So
like
different. Yeah.
I got to wake up. Like I have to start this week back on my 5 a.m. schedule. Like get up at 5 a.m. every day, write for 3 hours and then go into the world. It's what we do.
It's the grind.
Which is why, like, when I hear people say things like, I'm just taking a hiatus, you know, because I just need to get my mind together. So I'm just taking a 2-month hiatus. I'm like,
2 months?
How?
That's ridiculous.
I'm like, how? Like, must be fucking nice.
Yeah, that you have the luxury.
I'm like, I don't understand stuff like that.
Right.
Because anything I've ever had to do, like, I couldn't just walk away for that extended amount of time. I had to create more time. Like, even literally, like, I stopped looking at comments on my Instagram now.
I mean, you should,
but it's also gotten time back.
Oh, I have a fraction of the followers that you have, and I try, because they say, with the algorithms that like interaction with your, it matters. And so I try to go on there, and even just liking them or whatever matters. And so I would take time sometimes to do that. But then there's days where I'm like, I cannot. And then you accumulate. So you realize that I've been sitting in front of doing it for 45 minutes.
I can't do it. It's really literally I have to find ways to get time back into my life.
Right.
Which sometimes mean hiring a new person.
Right.
So it's spend money to make money is a real thing, but it's not in the way I think a lot of people think it is. They think it's I'm investing in this company. No, you're literally paying somebody else to go get your packages because you don't have time to go get your packages.
So now it's costing you money to do something that you could technically do yourself, just don't have the time for.
I still wash my clothes. My mom is like, why? I'm like, because it's right here.
Right.
It's here in the house.
I also have issues with people in my underwear. I don't like strangers touching my unmentionables.
I also have issues with people not putting my clothes away the way that I like them to be put away. So, but I'm I'm close to needing a housekeeper who can cook and wash clothes.
I'm looking at you hire me. No, I would have your place in shambles. I just want to live with mans. That was me saying, I'll move in.
That's the show. Mans and cans. I guess that's success. I guess this is success.
It is success. Girl, it is success.
I'm tired.
I know. I know, but you can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. All right. I feel like I'm going to try and do a quick struggle, which I know is not going to be quick because of the subject matter. And I saved this one specifically because I wanted to talk about this with Amanda. And I told you a while ago, it's a month and a half ago, and I got into it with another black female comedian.
Yes.
Went to Twitter, and my listeners they know all about it, so I'm not going to rehash that. But I will say that since me getting into that Twitter war, and a friend of mine who is in a writer's room, a black female friend of mine is in a writer's room with a black man who I believe is also a comic, and she told him the story of what happened, and his response was, well, does Candice do black rooms? His response to me getting into it with this other black female comic, he took her side.
But what's her side, though?
Attacking another black female comic for no reason whatsoever.
He took a thing now.
It is a thing, and it's also the does she do black rooms? If she doesn't, then I'm not taking her side. What are you? I
also no. No, that's not a thing. I just don't know. When I say also no, I mean also stop.
Why?
We be doing shit to ourselves.
And that is why I said this cannot be a quick struggle, is because that is what the problem is that, first of all, I do whatever rooms ask me to do the rooms. If you ask me to do a room, I'll do the room. If I'm not getting reached out to by certain rooms, that's not on me. I'm not at the point where I'm asking people for spots anymore. Every show that I get booked on is because people are asking me to do the show.
You better tell them. You better let them know.
And another thing.
But also, I think it's worth mentioning, and I talk about this in my book, Small Doses, Potent Truths for Everyday Use, now available wherever books are sold.
Boom.
There's different styles of comedy, and I think it's worth noting that there is a style of black comedy that is considered black comedy, but it doesn't encompass all black comedians.
Not at all.
It doesn't encompass the style of all black comedians.
For sure.
And so black rooms in particular do operate a certain way in terms of the style of comedy that they prefer. They love in a traditional black room, jokes need to be fired at every 12 seconds. There needs to be a punchline.
Lots of energy, physical act outs. Yes. Stool humping.
Less storytelling and more setup punch. And that's a style of comedy, right?
For sure.
So when you look at Def Comedy Jam, that's really what I feel cemented, okay, this is what black comedy is.
Absolutely.
Now, I created Smart, Funny, and Black because I felt there's a number of Black comics who want to talk from an authentically Black point of view, but don't necessarily employ that style in their delivery.
Which was absolutely necessary, by the way.
Thank you. And so Smart, Funny, and Black didn't even start as a game show, variety show. It started as a showcase that was simply just to create another authentic space for Black comics that still allowed for like audiences and for comics to know, like, okay, I'm going to speak from a Black point of view, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in the style of the quintessential like Black room.
For sure.
So that comment that he's making is so reductive, because it somehow infers that if you don't do that type of comedy in those type of spaces,
you're not Black.
That you're not Black. And that is full of shit.
Full of shit, which is exactly why my problem with the comment Miss Pat made to me when she brought me up that night in saying white people clap for one of your people.
Yeah, but that's somebody that's just being mean. Like literally, especially because as a light-skinned Black chick, like, folks know that trying to undermine our Blackness and relate us to white people is not only, like, they know that that's a trigger. They know it's nasty, but they also know it's false.
Absolutely.
And that's the other flow of it. Like, you're not spitting a truth.
Absolutely.
Like, you're literally just trying to make a false equivalency for the sake of being a bully.
For sure. But I will say that came from a place of that same place where he's saying, does she do Black rooms? Is because she's seen me perform. And so in her head, she doesn't think the jokes that I tell and the style in which I speak and the fact that I'm educated and went to college. I mean, those were in the tweets she sent out. So it's evident that is...
You think you white because you think you know, like, that takes me back to seventh grade.
Right.
Like, you think you all that because you talk white. And it's so frustrating to me because so much of the ire that we put against each other as Black people is literally fueled by the oppressors.
Absolutely.
Directives.
Absolutely. We're fulfilling. Let me tell you, slavery
was effective. Yeah. Completely. Jim Crow, Willie Lynch, they all knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing. And
that really is her saying, if you speak this way or you tell these kinds of jokes, then you think that you are better than me or you think that you are different than me. And like that white people for some reason have a
favoritism,
a monopoly on speaking a certain way.
At that point, that part right there. Absolutely.
And the truth of the matter is, like, no, Black folks have the monopoly on speaking a certain way. We're the ones that have African-American vernacular. Like, we're the ones who have created an entire colloquial, a colloquial dictionary of our own.
Well, for sure.
In spite of. We've
right.
done that because we were, lacking resources to the same levels of education. We did that because we have our own cultural experiences, like white folks just don't know about a kitchen, like in the back of your neck, like et cetera, et cetera. So the irony of that just, it boggles the mind. And then when you start trying to talk about it and be real about it, then people feel like, look at you stirred up trouble.
Well, yeah.
Trying to show off with your brain.
And it's like, no. I'm just living my life and it has nothing to do with you. But it's all, it's just people's, their own insecurities and projected at you. And so I feel like there's nothing we can do can we solve the Black problems of the community today on this podcast? Probably not. But
I would love to. I mean, I just, you just start to see that it's deep. It's
so deep. It's so deep. Even with just, comments like that. And it's just like, and they don't even see how we're working backwards. And and to have this, and the person that he said it to, and we'll move on from this, but the friend that he said it to, when he said, does she do Black rooms? She also is another Black female comic that like gets made fun of for not like, she's married to a white man. She's like, Candice, I 100% get this. And he goes, well, I'm team Miss Pat. She goes, well, I'm team Candice. And you need to understand that. Like, it was just like, why are we taking sides? Why are we taking sides as if we don't already have enough?
There's not even enough of us to take sides. We can't even get on the court. We can't even run a full.
And it's not even our court.
It's
we don't even own the court. We have other issues.
Yeah, we really out here trying to pick sides with 11 people on a goddamn project court with no nets and a backboard
11 people
and a hoop made of a milk crate.
We should all be on the same side is what we're trying to say. Good luck with that. We'll solve that on my next podcast. Now,
I'm just like,
it's too much. It's too much.
Like, yeah. We don't have a franchise, y'all. Literally, if there's 11 of us and we trying to play a basketball game, that means one person is going to sit out. The rest of us got to play the whole shit.
For sure.
There's no subs.
For sure.
I hope y'all worked out. Because, legit, that metaphor is what I mean by that is that that means that everybody has to be perfect and dope and everything has to be flawless every time.
But also the same. We all have to be the same and have the same upbringing and the same perspectives.
But it's not possible. It's impossible for a plain yellow pumpkin to become a golden carriage.
Wait, what is that from?
That is from Cinderella.
I should have known the pumpkin was a dead giveaway.
Scoo-doo.
I take all songs that have pumpkin and I replace it with sweet potato. Just FYI.
As a practice.
It's a general rule of thumb. I am so anti-pumpkin. I saw some shit last night at Whole Foods. Pumpkin spice latte popcorn.
Yes. No. I am so PSL. I'm down for everything PSL.
Get out. She said yes. And I said no.
I am so hyped it's PSL season.
Wait, so do you choose sweet potato pie over pumpkin pie, or are you a pumpkin pie person?
No, I choose sweet potato pie, but I will eat pumpkin pie.
Eat pumpkin. Okay.
To me, it's two delicacies. It's two autumn delicacies.
Why do we have to choose?
Exactly. It's like comedy. It's like black comedy. You know, sweet potato pie is black rooms. Pumpkin pie is smart bunny in black rooms.
Oh, I wouldn't equate that to that.
I'm serious. I love a good pumpkin pie.
I just feel pumpkin has always been inferior to the sweet potato. So to me, it does not exist. Because it's like, why? They're so similar that if this one exists, there is no need for this one also.
They have a different texture. There's a different level of spice in each.
I feel like we're doing right now? Delicious Dish on SNL.
Yes.
And today, we're talking all things pumpkin spice.
I'm a fan of the pumpkin spice, Candice. Wait, what would my character be? Let me think. Ask me a question.
So, if you had to choose, and you can only pick one, to put in your pumpkin pie, would it be pumpkin spice or eggnog?
Sheesh.
They're both so good.
It's just great. They're just great. They're so good. Well, Candice, if I had to choose, I think it would definitely be that I would choose the sweet potato, because the sweet potato is the more robust.
It is robust.
However, I think it is very necessary that we do provide pumpkin whenever possible as well, because not everybody can handle the robustness.
I think it is a lot for, I don't want to necessarily cause a divide here, but I feel like sometimes white people's palates cannot handle the robustery. Robustery, correct.
That's the proper term that I... The robustery.
All right.
But I like a robustery dick.
Okay. In our trifling segment. No. Now, mans.
Yes.
Let's get to why we're really here.
Okay.
What you struggling with?
I am struggling with transparency. Not the ability to be transparent, but the issue of being too transparent. I have always been a very open, willing, sharing, trusting person. And I am once and for all realizing that simply is not smart or safe in the professional spaces that I work in the beginnings of romantic spaces.
Yes.
And in my friend spaces, it kind of seems to be like the only safe space. And even with that, it can definitely render like the ending or shifting of friendships.
Right.
And so I have had to, in just recent time, like I went through a lot of stuff like on the internet and professionally that really has shown me like that I need to shift and play my cards closer to my chest. And that I think is like a natural thing for most people. Whereas for me, it's really taking effort.
I understand that 100% and I relate to that 100%. I don't think I'm as transparent as you are, but I also fall into that 100. Like I was telling somebody about one of my friends over the weekend, like how I was interacting with a dude that I liked. And she was just like, that's amazing. You just told him.
Right.
And I was like,
Shock.
What else was I supposed to do?
Shock and awe.
And I was like, I'm just being honest to who I am. And I'm like, why are we playing games? And why are we, like, if you like somebody or you want someone to know something about you, then just tell them.
Someone literally said to me last night, like, you need to start playing games, right? And I was like,
you need to start playing games?
Because everybody else is playing games and it's me and you, Candice, who are out here.
That.
Like, I can't do it.
I don't even understand what
I don't know how to.
I don't either.
I legit in a romantic space, I don't know how. Like I've had people tell me like, no, you got to be more, you got to like be more, you got to like not be as responsive. You got to like be more, just all the above. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, who has the time? I don't have the energy or the time. I just want to be able to tell you what it is and observe how you deal with what it is.
Yes. I don't ever have, I think most people operate from they have an agenda.
Oh, there's an ulterior. And you know what's wild? When you don't, people also don't know how to deal with that. That's like, I mean, the dude I love, like we've had arguments that are simply him just not believing that I don't like. He's like, no, that's not what I'm like. I really know, like this is really what I'm saying. This is what I meant. You. And he's just like, I don't believe that. I'm like, because you
have been lied to and played with so much that when someone's coming to you from a genuine,
or your ass be doing that yourself.
That too.
Like that's the other thing. Like people are so used to being involved in a tit for tat and a back and forth that when you're not. It's like they're throwing the ball at you and like you have no, like your hands are just like.
It just hits you in the face.
Yeah.
It hits you in the chest.
They're like, what do you mean?
You're not playing? Like, no, I'm not playing. But like you said, I don't know how to either. Mm-mm. And honestly, and on even further to that point, I have no interest in trying to figure out how to do it.
I've taken interest in the past just because I'm like, best idea wins. Sometimes you're just like, I guess if this is how it goes, I'll give it a shot.
Maybe there's something to it.
Yeah. But no, I've had to really, and it becomes about boundaries too, right? And setting your boundaries. And that's part of like your transparency, right? Like who I'm going to be transparent with, who I'm not. But also like your boundaries of like, who am I going to be more piecemeal with and who am I not?
Right.
Right? Like in business, I have had to really work on how my transparency operates because people just are not transparent in business. And so
not at all.
That the thing that I pride myself on, which is like my honesty, my integrity, my value, is not a currency that others are working.
People value. No.
So it ends up being where not only is it not valued, but in some cases it's looked upon as like deleterious.
Absolutely.
I would say in most cases. So you end up having to like consider like, okay, how does my transparency function? Like, and how transparent can I be? So now I've had to literally like employ 60% seals. So like when I'm in certain workspaces, I would say when I'm in all workspaces these days, I've come to understand that I need to just be 60% seals. I cannot give you All of me. And what's wild is I have so many women like in my DMs or like when I speak at schools or just when I'm doing events that have Q&A, there was always a question about like, how do I handle the fact that I'm so direct and people like get mad at me at work about this? Or how do I manage like being a strong Black woman at work without it being looked at as an angry Black woman, et cetera.
Right.
And I've had to tell people like, your job doesn't need all of you.
That is true. That is 100% true.
But because we're creatives, we forget that we are at a job. And I don't mean just like on a set or in an interview. I mean like this whole shit
is our job.
Like for me, like I've had to come to understand like, Amanda, Hollywood is an office building.
Yeah, we are our product that we are selling all the time. So whether or not we think we're in a brick and mortar building, this is me at work. No, wherever I go is work because people are going to know who I am. They're going to recognize me, and you need to be on some level of just
awareness.
People could be watching me at any moment. So I have to watch what I say and what I do at all times.
All times. It is exhausting. Like you'll be in a room with 20 people, right? But you're only speaking to one of them. But 20 people created a perception of you because they paid attention to you. Now you paid attention to the one person you were speaking to. But it doesn't change the fact that 20 people who have 20 different lives, 20 different spiritual, perspectives, all that have now created a perspective of you. And you can't even manage that. So that's why like it ends up being such a struggle, the name of this podcast, because you have to figure out the meter upon which you're measuring these things. And ultimately it can only be just like for you. What makes you comfortable, like what makes you be able to manage, like, and that's just hard.
I just, this is such a good one just because I do this podcast because I want people to talk about things that they're struggling with. And it's just like, I feel overwhelmed at times because
laughing to keep from crying
because there are struggles where it's like this. I can see how I can fix this. I could do.
Yes.
You can
see the math.
With this,
girl, I'm creating percentages of myself. Like I'm trying. Like what do you do? I'll tell you what I've been trying to do. I'll tell you the ways I've been trying to manage the struggle.
Please.
I've been trying to be just incredibly conscious about only attempting to work with people that really want to work with me.
And then how do you know?
Because of my own systems that I put in place. Like even just like in a meeting
system?
Yeah, exactly. Like how quickly they respond. Okay, here's a perfect example.
Yes, please.
So a woman contacted me in my DMs, and I get a lot of like good information that comes in my DMs. So even though I'm not reading my comments, I still try to skim my DMs. So she was like, I would love to plan your international book tour. I see that your book is on an international level. I do these tours. I'm from the Caribbean, so I understand you culturally. And I looked at her site. It all checked out. Right? So she was like, when are you available to talk? So I said, I'm available. I think it was a Sunday that I was like, I'm available on Sunday. Because she was throwing out a lot of information at me at the time. And it was like a 7:00, like on a Friday. And I was watching the morning show on Apple Plus. Yeah. So I was like, I can't take this all in right now. Like I'm trying to put away clothes, but I would be available on Sunday to talk. And she was like, let's do it. She was like, I'll contact you on Sunday for a time. Now, she didn't contact me on Sunday for a time, but I get up hella early, so I still like even gave her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So I contacted her. I said, what time are you available today to talk? She said, well, give me a window. So I gave her a window. I said, I'm available between 1:30 and 3:30, but my ideal time would be 2:00.
Okay.
She does not respond. This is at like 7 a.m. She doesn't respond. And then at 1:30 p.m., sends me, so the window.
Right.
She sends me a DM. Are you available tomorrow because I really want you to have my full attention.
I thought this was going to go the other way. Like when you told me about the woman sliding into your DMs, I thought it was going to be like, this is going to be a good.
Because it could have been.
It could have been.
But in the past, I would have just kind of been like overlooked it. And I know there's people listening like, oh, you're being too difficult. You're being too, you're parsing. Listen.
No, people tell you who they are.
They should. This is somebody who's planning a tour that is going to require reliability and punctuality.
Yes, and she's not proven that in just the first couple of conversations that are being had.
The first instance is you, like, and I'm not trying to, like, toot my own horn, but, like, when I tell you I don't got time, like, I really don't be having time.
She doesn't. Yeah.
Like, it's not like trying to sound like I'm so busy. Like,
no, it's just
I make time. And so I made time and it was not respected.
Right.
And then when someone says like, I want you to have my full attention. Well, I assumed I was going to have your full attention. You reached out to me.
You set it up as such.
So I cut that. I didn't even respond because I already know. And I'm having to like get way better about like, Amanda, you already know. I wish I was that stringent in my personal life, but then I've had other people tell me like, no, you don't though, because your personal life and your business life are different. And like, if you're treating your personal life like your business life, it's going to start feeling like your business life.
However, the reason I'm going to tend to disagree with that nugget is because if the same thing if a dude had come at you the same way.
Well, I do that.
Yeah. So like
I do
the
that.
person who said
This
you
is
have to treat it separately, like that's a similar thing where it's business and social that I think would have been treated in the same fashion.
I guess my thing is that I'm a little more lenient in the social space of things with friends and relationships in terms of having more compassion for like what the reasoning is behind certain things.
For sure.
Whereas in business, I'm just like, I can't.
This is business. We have no personal history together.
Like, we're not trying to make
friends.
Yeah, like,
right. Come on. I didn't let you inside of me.
Like, I didn't right. Like, we didn't have a full conversation about you coming inside of me. Like,
correct.
We did not, like, discuss it and then decide against it. Like, we haven't, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't taken a shit with you on FaceTime. Like, we haven't done that.
Wait, you've done that
and
with a guy?
vice versa.
Have you done it with a guy?
Yes.
More than one guy?
No.
Just as one guy that you feel close enough. I don't think I could ever do that.
I don't think he knew.
Oh.
But he's absolutely taking a shit with me on FaceTime. He's held the phone while peeing. And then flip the screen and come back. You know, like, so me and this woman have not done that.
So there's a level of intimacy that is involved with personal relationships that are not there. Yes, that makes sense.
So I think that there's something to be said for that, and like emotions, and like I try and do my best to even not get emotions involved in business, which is why it's always wild to me when people try to have like a business conversation with me involving emotions, and I'm just like, you're not going to get it from me. Like,
no.
Like, I hate to break it to you.
Like, you're screaming at me? Your emotions are clearly involved. This is not professional anymore.
It's not.
Yeah.
And they always do that when you have called them out for being unprofessional.
Of course.
Well, I'm like,
okay.
See, any gripe that you have with me could have been addressed in a professional fashion. Now that you are handling it in this way, I am not interested in what your gripe is. And this is why people have a gripe with me.
Right. Because and that's you're being very transparent at that point and letting people know.
I don't like you. And it's like, well, this was never about you liking me.
I hurt your feelings. And this is how you're handling it.
But your feelings are hurt because you were addressed directly about operating less than.
Yep.
About being under par in what you were supposed to deliver.
And they know it's true.
And I've had so many people come back to me later like, I gave you, like I was an asshole to you because you kept it a buck with me. And now I understand that you were literally just trying to get the best product and I was not delivering and you were asking me to deliver.
Yep. People take things personally when they should not. And I understand that comes with experience and just maturity. But I work with people, not in my present work situation, but I've worked with people where it's like, you should know, like people in their 40s, 50s years old, and they're still taking things personally. How are you still working? Have you made it this far and you can't take one little tiny criticism?
Well, we work in spaces too where like you get ideas shot down. You know what I'm saying?
Like rejection.
We throw ideas out. We're in writers' rooms. We're in like meetings, like
daily getting rejected.
But yet I've had people where it's like they present an idea and I'm just like, maybe that doesn't apply, or like I don't use it, and they take that as a personal affront or as a disobedience almost. Like, how dare you? You're not listening to me, and they take it as if you have now like somehow managed to devalue them by not listening to their idea. And like, here's the thing. In a professional setting, like I am the executive decision maker of my brand. So like I can acknowledge like, oh, that's a good idea, or that's a good idea, but it doesn't apply. Or I don't think that really aligns with what I'm trying to do. None of that should offend you.
It has nothing to do with you.
Now, I've had scenarios where I've had like managers who feel like an affront because they want me to behave a certain way and I am not behaving in that way, and they feel like that's a blatant disrespect. Right. And I'm like, you're not my dad.
Right.
And I don't even listen to that nigga.
And even if you was.
So... And I think that sometimes people get frustrated because they may think that the advice they're giving you is good advice and you're not taking it, and that feels like just disrespect, right? Because I've been in relationships like that too, right? Where like you're just with somebody and they're doing dumb shit and you're just like, why are you doing that?
Simple question. It's a simple question.
And then they feel a way about you either asking that question, and then you feel a way about them ignoring the suggestion that you gave.
Yeah.
And it just ends up being like a clash of the titans. But to circle back, like the transparency of it all is in knowing when to correct, and being like, I've had to get better about like, sometimes I just don't have to correct. Sometimes I can actually see the shit and not call it out. And that is death defying feat for me.
I was going to say, I know that's challenging. I know that's challenging.
It is. And like, so when I was telling you about like different ways that I've been trying to like work on this struggle, it's like, I do something called PTP, which is actually like an anger management thing. And I practice the pause. I really have been working very, very hard at like the actual physical practice of like reading something and then taking a breath.
Letting it sit.
And not even just doing that with like something that you know is going to come with everything. I've been trying to
just everything.
Literally like practicing.
Just to make it a habit. Right.
I've really been trying to practice like anytime I read a text.
Take a minute.
Just take a breath. It don't matter what the text is. The text could say, I'm pulling up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, because that, again, if you keep practicing, it'll become a habit.
And we don't breathe in general. We just don't breathe.
No, not at all, which is why meditation,
yes,
I preach about meditation.
And I'm working on it. I've been trying to find other ways to meditate too, because sometimes like sitting and listening to a led meditation isn't in the doctor's orders that day.
Yeah.
So like I've been trying to color.
Yes.
I tried to take a walk.
I was gonna say, even just going outside in nature is a practice you can do to.
You know what I started doing?
What?
When I kind of like will get up in the morning to like go to the bathroom, or my cat will just like start wilding, and I've started trying to get up and go outside, and go like, I have like a nice outside area, and try and go finish sleeping outside.
Do you have like a?
It's like a lounge, like a chair.
A chase lounge or like a hammock situation?
I do have a hammock, but I don't climb the hill to the hammock. I actually just have like two like pool, like laid out chairs. And they're fairly comfortable for what it's worth. And I've had some blankets out there. And I've just started going out there.
It's good. It is good for you.
And like getting my last 2 hours of sleep out there. It's changing me.
Yeah, good.
It's bringing just kind of like a peacefulness. And like I wake back up in nature and like... and it's like kind of chilly right now in LA in the mornings. So it's kind of like actually like cozy. But like I literally have started doing this, and like I open my eyes and there's like leaves overhead. So it's something I started doing. I know that it's a luxury that I can do that, and I'm taking the fucking luxury.
Yeah, and you should.
So
you paid for it.
Every fucking month. So like there's that. And this is all like self-care, right? So then, but like really like I'm not even, to go back to like the working with people who really want to work with you. Like, I know, like, that example I gave is like, oh, well, she doesn't mean that she didn't want to work with you. It just meant that she wasn't punctual. And I'm like, yes, but in order to work with me,
you have
like,
to.
these are standards I have. And they're unspoken standards. Like, expectations are things that, like, you have that are particular to you, but like a punctuality, consideration, thoughtfulness, like, those do not need to be said.
But, and I'm just trying to figure out to whom that those are not important to.
I think that it's not that they're not important. It's just that sometimes people be slipping and you can't slip with folks.
Yeah.
Certain folks you can. I ain't the one.
I think they're potheads.
Well,
like
I had to fire somebody for that. I had to fire somebody for that because they started demonstrating behaviors of somebody who was just like latent. Just latent, like latency, literally just behind. Like everything is behind. And then I realized like this person who had become like they had become a smoker.
Yeah.
Over the time of me working with them. And it went from being something that they would do as like recreation to something they were doing every day.
Every day.
And that may be because they're dealing with something like in their personal life. I'm not trying to like undermine that.
Of course.
But it was affecting their business and we were working together. And it's not to say that we can't like get a friendship later.
Yeah.
But our personal connection had to cease.
For sure.
It had to stop. And so the transparency part is also me being less transparent in spaces where it's not safe, but more transparent with myself about like how I feel about situations. And I think a lot of us are told to like, no, don't think about that. Or, you know, like, I don't know. We kind of get shamed for like having like emotions about things.
You're talking about a society that showing any type of feelings is
you're a crybaby.
You're too thirsty.
You're extra.
Everything.
You know, you're a narcissist.
Any type of emotion. You're weak.
Yes, and I feel like what I've had to learn though is that like I can have those emotions. I just don't necessarily need to have those emotions in front of everybody.
To share them with everybody.
Yeah,
right.
Which is like something I've become accustomed to because I've got roped up into this internet culture of just sharing.
And that's what I was going to say. And then how are you dealing with that when you're in a space now where people expect that of you, where people go to you because they want to see how this one thing pissed off Amanda Seales, which is, to me, again, is entertaining. Like I do enjoy seeing your opinions voiced on so many things.
Well, I think that I've had to just become a lot more conscious of my narrative. And this is not just being a famous person. I think this is for all of us, like trying to control your narrative as best as you can to please you. And this is what I mean about like, I can't change the opinions I can't affect 20 people in a room. Like I don't know how they're going to receive something, but I know that I need to be conscious of what I'm giving. And
how
I think,
you deliver it.
And right. A lot of us are just not. And I think it's because we get comfortable and we get cocky or we get, selfish or we just lose sight, you know? And I've had to just understand that like in the internet space, I do want to control my narrative in a much more conscious way than I have been. And there's no reason for me to feel like this is a safe space.
Right.
And a safe space is not something to just be taken for granted. Like they're hard to find.
I was going to say, I'm thinking in my head now, I'm like, where are the safe spaces?
Like I literally like want to, let me see this. I just caught myself. I was about to divulge something that I don't have no business divulging right now. So I've had to like literally become better at like shit like this.
You can divulge it to me when we're done recording.
Like I just don't need to say everything or do everything at full volume to everyone.
Right. Right. But I understand where that comes from. I understand the need for... There are so many people that I think that don't care about things. And in this industry especially, that nobody stands up for what is right. And when things...
Can I stop you real quick?
Yes, please, of course.
You are the only person, the literal only person in this industry that I've been in since 1994. You're the only person who, in the maelstrom of fuckery that came with the Black Emmy Party, you are the only person who publicly made it known that you love me, that you are my friend, and that you understand the situation and support me. You, Candice Thompson, of all these motherfuckers.
That makes me very sad.
You are the only person. It made me so sad, melancholy, downtrodden. And then you come out of it and you're like, well, at least I got one, motherfucker. High five.
Man, my high fives are the worst.
Fine.
I have to look at elbows. I'm not even kidding. Every time I go to high five, it's like, I'm sorry. I punched you in the face.
Bounce.
There we go. Yeah, no.
At least I got one, because a lot of motherfuckers don't even got that.
Facts. But that makes me very sad. It makes me, but I'm not surprised by any of this because, number one, what I always say, people are trash. But it's...
She do always say
I do be saying it. And did I tell you how I manifest? I'll talk to after, but I manifested a pile of trash on my front lawn because
you did tell me about this. And I was like, yeah, sounds about right.
But I'm not surprised by any of this because I think everyone just wants to work. And I'm not saying that's an excuse for the way people behave, but they think that, if I take sides on something and if I take this person's side, I might potentially burn a bridge with this over here. So, and I just want to work. And it's like, if you are talented, you will work. If you are persistent and talented and a good person, you will work. You don't have to worry about... You just have to stand up for what is right. And literally nobody does that in this industry.
It's unreal.
And you can tell we're in an industry that's run by pedophiles.
Pedophiles and rapists.
So talking about sticking up and standing up for what's right, we're in an industry that was built on doing the complete opposite. Keep everything a secret so that the most powerful people can stay in power and then, so the machine can
And people will tell you to do that.
Absolutely.
People will absolutely tell you, like,
and
you're Amanda.
You.
And that's the thing. So to my point, this whole transparency thing is like, shit, like so many people are like, you shouldn't talk about that. You shouldn't have said this. You shouldn't put this out there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it makes you question like yourself. It makes you question like, well, what is my transparency about? I had someone tell me that I was just really like being transparent about certain situations because I wanted to get a cosign from the internet that I'm not crazy. And it's like, yes, there are some times where something happens and you're like, let me just put this out here to see just to do like a temperature check, a litmus test per se.
Right.
But there's other times where you're just like, no, I'm calling this out because it's wrong and it should not get to exist under the veil of anonymity. That's why.
Yes.
But then that makes you an iconoclast.
Absolutely.
And people do not know the difference between iconoclasts and attention seekers anymore. We talk about it in the latest episode of my podcast, Small Doses, which is what inspired my book, Small Doses, Potent Truths for Everyday Use, now available at bookstores everywhere. You got to say it every time, like with Precious.
So funny.
Remember when Precious came out and you had to say Precious, a book
based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire. That's my favorite thing to throw on the end of anything.
That's my inspiration. She was like, every time you say this, you got to say this. I want to see the contract that said that because I love it. She was like, fuck y'all. I wrote this book.
And you gonna know it.
You ain't gonna co-opt my shit.
Based on
because like Me Too, look at the Me Too movement, which was supposed to be about transparency and ended up getting co-opted into white women.
Yes.
In Hollywood, just completely co-opting this thing that Tarana Burke had created that was really about like, listen, you should feel safe in being transparent about your experience because this other person is going to share their experience.
Yes.
And it turned into some other shit that is completely a bastardization of what it is to actually be a sexual assault survivor.
Yeah, no, it turned into like hashtag believe all women. It turned into like, what?
No.
Then you're literally
some women are on some fuck
crazy.
You had an affair with somebody. You shouldn't have had it. You knew it was wrong. When they came at you, you should have went to HR. And you feel like you couldn't have gone to HR because you wanted to work. So you went along with it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's the rub. Here's the rub. What is the statute of limitations on the point where it went from you feeling like I don't have a place to speak about this because I don't want to lose my job to you feeling like I'm manipulating this situation now for my own gain?
Right.
And where in there do we lose the Me Too of it all? Because it's gone from you being manipulated to you now manipulating. Does it still make it Me Too? Because you were able to flip it? Because you shouldn't have had to flip it? You know, it gets very warbly.
It's so muddy, right? I don't know. All I know is that the movement is not what it was
Me
supposed to
Too
have
was
been,
about sexual assault.
Me Too is absolutely about about how all men are terrible.
Yes, and sexual harassment. And I think that there's a point where sexual harassment goes to a point where, like, if you have, I don't know, it gets mucky. It gets mucky because I don't want to say something that makes it to where, like, I'm sounding like I'm siding with men who are, I'm victim blaming, because I'm by no means victim blaming.
Of course.
But I think that we need a different name for certain things.
No, I agree. Everything, that's the problem with these hashtags and these labels, that so many things get thrown. Exactly. No nuance. Everything gets thrown under it. If it's even adjacent to it. Like, that's 6 degrees away from what I was talking about, but I guess it's the Me Too movement because there's no other name for it.
It's so true what you said, though, about people not saying things. And, like, I think that's the transparency. Like, when you are that person and you say things, people are so accustomed to people not doing that.
Not saying anything.
That they don't know what the proper hashtag for that is. Because it's like I've just had to come to terms with that. And this year I really, like, changed. I changed this year. Like, I'm not the same trustworthy person that I was. I'm not as liberated as I was in certain, and it's not to say that I'm not a liberated person. It just means that I have become so much more conscious of the constraints of certain spaces and of the cesspool of certain spaces. And it feels like a little bit of a loss. Like, I definitely feel like I'm mourning a certain innocence.
Oh, I can understand that for sure.
You know, but it's just, it's growing up, right? And it's just the way of the world. Like, I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire say, like, at the end of one of my favorite songs of all time, Forever Wonderful, they say, you know, don't let the world change your mind. And it's such a hard thing to do.
The world be changing my mind regularly.
And but then, like, the double entendre of that, though, is like, don't let it change, like, the way your brain works that helps you function in the world. You know, like, don't let it change how you are honest in this space. And that's the hardest thing with, like trying to shift my transparency. It's also, like, preservation,
right,
of what I know makes me a pure person.
Your good qualities that make you who you are, and then the parts of you that just need a little bit of, like, zhuzhing to adapt to not feel as
survival,
right? Attacked and like feel like you can
function.
Persist.
Yeah, that's the word. Persist. No, that's the word. Persist, because, you know, there's just times where you just feel like, if I cannot function the way I've been functioning, how am I going to function?
To go on.
Like, how am I?
You're like, I'm abandoning myself and everything that I've been taught over these past 28 years.
I mean, you've had a long run, you know? I cannot wait to see you on the other side of 30. You're thriving. You're thriving. You're living your life like it's golden. Jill Scott wrote it about you.
Scott. That was about me.
Mm-hmm. And I see it. And I'm here for you, sister. For colored girls who consider suicide when the rainbow is enough.
Based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it.
We've struggled enough today. Struggled enough. We're going to wrap this up, and then we're going to continue to trash talk after the mics are done.
By the way,
yes,
people, let's be transparent with ourselves and stop acting like you're not trash talking. I hate that people be out here acting like all they talk about is Jesus and the weather.
Stop.
Bullshit.
Stop.
You don't like everybody. Everybody don't like you. Stop trying to act like when people are not liked, it's like, oh my God, how is this possible? Like, first of all, if you're somebody who's on the internet talking about somebody not being likable, you're probably not somebody that's likable either.
100%. All right, guys. Amanda, one more time, where can people find you online?
You can check me out on Instagram and Instagram and Twitter at Amanda Seals. You can get my book, Small Doses, wherever books are sold. And you can check out my podcast, Small Doses, at smalldosesshow.com.
Amazing. Guys, thank you for tuning in one more time. Again, if you have not subscribed, make sure you do that on all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and rate and review us on iTunes. And if you haven't told somebody about the struggle, make sure you do that. You can find me at Jokes by Candice on social media, CandiceThompson.com, for CandiceThompsonComedy.com. God damn it, for my shows. And finish your DVRs of Lights Out with David Spade.
I meant to say I will be in...
Oh, yes.
I will be in Orlando this weekend at the Orlando Improv on the 22nd and 23rd. Get your tickets. You can get your tickets at smartfunnyandblack.com.
November 22nd and 23rd.
What did I say?
You just said the 22nd. Just
okay, because I'm famous for being like May 22nd. It's like, bitch, it's December. November
17th.
I do that all the time, though. Literally. November 22nd and 23rd. You can catch me at Orlando Improv.
Amanda's a delight. Please support and support Black Girl Magic.
Yes.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye.